Hello my friend, I'm Sumesh. I welcome you to this short course to introduce you to the structure of human cells. I hope you will enjoy this course and be excited as much as I am in understanding what makes up our body and the working behind it. If you look at yourself, you can see that you have a pair of hands, legs, a pair of eyes and ears, and then a head and many other body parts. And inside your body frame, you also have many organs like your heart, brain, the blood vessels, skeleton, all of these which makes you able to do what you're doing, like sitting, reading, walking, speaking, etc. Have you ever thought of what makes up all these body parts and organs in different size and shape and with various functions to do? Like your heart always pumping blood for you to the different parts of the body, and the brain memorizing what you are studying, and your kidney filtering the waste from your blood. If you closely look at these body parts and organs, you can see that all these are made up of sheets or layers kind of structure called tissues, which looks like a thick cloth piece. Look at your skin. It's a layer of tissues. Or if you examine an internal organ like brain or heart in your biology lab, you can find that these are also made up of layers and layers of substance that look similar, works together, and carry out the function of the organ. And if you still go deep and try to see what makes these tissues, you will find that these tissues are made of cells which we consider as the smallest unit that makes up our body. An analogy here is, if you consider your house, you may have many rooms in it and each room is built using bricks, and we can compare cells to these bricks used to build your house. But when these bricks are just a mix of sand and water, hardened and non-living also, cells are living and it does a lot of work for your body to grow and help you live a healthy life. Would you be able to see the cells with your bare eyes? No way. In our body, there are many cells, more than 1 trillion in number. Just to give you an idea, if you take a paper pin, you can place 10,000 cells on the tip of that pin. So I hope you can imagine how small the cells are. But then, how do we see cells? Science and technology has given us devices like microscope that magnify very tiny things to very big images, and using those we study the cells. Now let's have a look at the cells and see how it looks like. Does all the cells look alike? Does all your organs and body parts look similar and work similar? Depending on the functions of the organ or the body part, the cell also vary in their size, shape and contents. In our body, the common types of cells are the nerve cells that makes up our brain and nervous system, the bone cells which are the toughest cells which makes the toughest organ, the skeleton of your body, the blood cells such as white blood cells and red blood cells which are present in blood and keep moving throughout the body. You have the muscle cells to form the muscles, and these cells can contract and relax, enabling the muscle movement. There are few other types of cells too, as you see here, and you can find more details in your academic materials. All you need to remember now is that cells are not identical, they vary in their properties, but many things are common in these cells that makes it our building blocks. Now let's have a look at what makes up a cell. The top image here is a cell seen under a microscope. The bottom right figure is the view of a cell in an animated picture to give you an idea how the cell look inside. The picture at the center shows the internal parts of a cell in our body, and in a short while we are going to look at the details of each of these parts and their importance. As discussed earlier, every part of your body and every organ inside you is built of cells combined to form tissues. And we have seen earlier how different types of cells form different types of the organs in the body. But most of these cells have the structure or parts common to it, and hence we'll take one type of cell and understand how it works. The functions of a cell mainly depends on the function of the organ. For example, the cell in a heart keeps on expanding and shrinking to give the pumping action for the heart, whereas the cells in your brain helps you transmit the electric signals. And then all cells have some common functions also, like the protein synthesis to create the energy for you, and also it stores your genetic information like your skin color or your hair type so that you look like your parents. So let's have a look at the details of each part of the cells and see how it does this job. Like you use your hands or legs The cells also have parts called organelles that helps in doing different jobs. Let's have a look at these organelles. The organelles are arranged inside the cell and floats on a jelly-like fluid, like fish in a tank. Like your body covered by skin, the cells are also covered by membrane. Nucleus. The organelle at the center part is called nucleus, which is a ball kind of shape you see. What does it do? Well, if you compare the cells to the town where you live, there is a control center in every town where important decisions are taken or important files are stored. Like that, in a cell, nucleus is the control center where your genetic information like your skin color, body height, blood type information is stored. This is stored in the deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA. The various other cell organelles are controlled by nucleus, and no wonder why it is called the commanding center of the cell. Within the nucleus, it has the nucleus, which helps in the creation of ribonucleic acid required for the construction of DNA. Cytoplasm. So where does all the organelles in the cell reside? As discussed earlier, the cell is filled with a jelly-like fluid made up mostly of salt and water, and all the organelles float in this fluid, which is called the cytoplasm. Ribosomes. Ribosomes are the organelles in a cell that synthesize the proteins from the amino acid which cells get from your food. So ribosomes have the ability to make long strands of amino acid chain, which in turn becomes the proteins. Endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum is a membrane consisting of flattened sacs and tubes as seen in the picture here, and it connects the nucleus outer membrane. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum, rough and smooth. The rough has the ribosomes studded and hence the roughness for the membrane. The main function of the endoplasmic reticulum is to create the protein structure required by the different organelles in the cell. If you see, the different organelles requires the proteins to do their function, but they require the proteins in different structure. And it is the endoplasmic reticulum that knows in which structure to fold the protein so that the organelles can use it. So the endoplasmic reticulum creates a structure and carries the protein to the next organelle, which is the Golgi apparatus. And let's look what the Golgi apparatus does. In your town, you'd have seen the post offices that parcel the things to the required places. The Golgi apparatus or the Golgi body is a membrane-bound sacs as seen here that parcels proteins already synthesized and packaged in the endoplasmic reticulum. The proteins are transported in vesicles, which is nothing but a fluid enclosed structure to carry the proteins within the cell. So like in a post office, the proteins are packaged in vesicles to various parts of the cells, to the other organelles like lysosomes or in the plasma membrane by the Golgi apparatus. Mitochondria. Again, if you compare the cells to a town, every town will have a power generation center where the required electricity for the town is generated, so your house is lighted. In a cell, mitochondria does this activity by the generation of a chemical called adenosine triphosphate, which is the major source of chemical energy required by the cells to carry out its functions. Studies have shown that in addition to the supply of energy, mitochondria also helps cells change from one form to another and also in the cell growth and death. Lysosomes. The lysosomes in the cell have a digestive enzyme or chemical that helps in the breaking down of structures. So the lysosomes helps to remove the waste such as the worn out organelles, the food particles, or even the viruses and bacteria that enters the cell. There are two types of lysosomes, primary and secondary. The primary lysosomes are formed from Golgi apparatus and they merge with the vesicles to form the secondary lysosome, which has the required enzymes to break down the structures. Centrioles. Cells don't grow big, but they multiply by dividing themselves. And it is the centrioles in the cells that helps in the cell division process. It is a cylindrical-like structure. Vacuoles. Vacuoles are the organelles without a definite size or shape, and their bigger structure formed by the merging of the vesicle membrane, which is essentially a water-filled membrane. So they are filled with water and organic or inorganic materials and helps in isolating the harmful materials that appear within the cell body. So it helps in the waste management, and with the water-filled body, it also helps in the hydrostatic pressure management of the cell. The plasma membrane. Like the wall of your house or the skin that covers your playing ball, the cell is also covered with a membrane called the plasma membrane. But unlike the skin of your cricket or tennis ball, this membrane is semi-permeable or semi-porous with a lot of holes for certain materials to move in and move out of the cell, such as certain salts and organic materials needed by the cell. Now that you have seen the main parts of the cell, it will be a good experience for you to try drawing a cell structure so that you can remember those parts very well, and also you may be asked to draw this cell as a part of your academic activity. So why don't you try with the figure here? So before I wind up the course, I'd like to share some interesting facts about the cell. So how does your body grow from a kid to the adult men and women? It is not that the cells also grow large like your body parts. It just keep on multiplying. The cells in our body keep on multiplying by dividing themselves throughout their life by creating exact replicas of themselves. Interesting, correct? And when certain cells takes only a few weeks, others may take many weeks, and cells like your liver cells will take almost an year to multiply. Will cells die ever? Yes, indeed, they do die to enable your healthy growth. When cells like your skin cells live for only a few weeks, other cells like your nerve cells will live for the entire lifespan of your body. When a cell becomes damaged or undergoes some type of infection, it will self-destruct by a process called apoptosis. Do you know that you have a special cell called stem cells which has the ability to form any other type of cell that we have seen earlier? For this reason, it's very much important in your healthcare. Again, the plant cell varies a lot from the animal cell. And last but not the least, where do our cells get the amino acids required to make these proteins? It is from the food that we eat daily. So make sure you eat good food and stay healthy to grow. I hope you enjoyed the interesting journey through our cells, which are our fundamental building blocks, and the exciting story of how our body parts grow. Thank you. Enjoy your learning.